Okay, so maybe you're thinking about a new career, right? Something that keeps things moving. Literally, you've been checking out this road transport maintenance scheduler role.
It's a vital job, even if most people don't think about it.
Exactly. So we're doing a deep dive today, looking at all the stuff you sent us, career guides, those interview tips, the
We're going
works.
to uncover what's really going on in this role, the challenges, the skills you wouldn't expect.
Way more to it than just fixing buses, huh?
You got it.
So this role catcher guide we've got here, it makes it clear. This isn't your typical mechanic job. It's about the whole system, yeah.
And that system's getting more complex all the time. Public transport is essential, got to be efficient.
Efficient. So what's that mean for someone actually doing this job?
Think about it. You've got all these buses, trains, whatever, all needing different kinds of upkeep. The scheduler's the one who figures out how to make that happen, when to schedule things, who's doing what.
Ah, so it's like a huge puzzle. But instead of little pieces, you're fitting together what? Mechanic schedules and bus routes?
And trying to account for when things go wrong, which they always do. Breakdowns, delays, you got to adapt.
So where does all this take place? What's the work environment like? Is it all office work?
Oh, you'll see some of that for sure. But picture this. Bustling maintenance yards, maybe even some time out by the tracks. It's not just sitting at a desk.
Definitely not your typical 9 to 5 then. But we keep mentioning data. Optimization dot seems high tech.
Hugely. This field's changing fast. Think. Using data to predict when something might break before it actually does.
Whoa, hold on. So instead of fixing what's broken, you're using data to what? Stop it from breaking in the first place?
That's the goal. It's called predictive maintenance, and it's big in transportation.
That takes some serious brains, huh? I wouldn't have pictured that with this job, gotta be honest.
That's the thing. You need that technical side, but also people skills. Can't forget those.
Oh, right. RoleCatcher mentions persuasion, even social perceptiveness. Why those? This isn't sales.
Think about who you're dealing with. Suppliers, maybe frustrated passengers if there are delays, even your own team. You're always communicating.
So it's like you're conducting an orchestra, but instead of music, it's wrenches and timetables.
Uh-huh. Love it. And just like a conductor, you got to know your players, your team's strengths, what they're best at.
This is way more than I realized. You need the technical stuff, you need people skills.
Wild.
That's
That's what makes it so interesting. You're keeping things moving, literally,
Yeah.
for tons of people. Real impact.
Okay, so say someone's listening and they're like, this is me, I'm good with my hands, I love figuring things out. Where do they even begin?
Well, the cool thing is, RoleCatcher actually lays out a whole career path for this.
Oh, you don't just walk in as a top-level scheduler on day one.
Not usually. You might start hands-on as a technician, learning how everything works. Then more experience, maybe some certifications.
Certifications, how important are those? Like, gotta have them important.
They definitely help, especially as you move up. RoleCatcher mentions a few, like the CMRP, that's Certified Maintenance and Reliability Professional. Big one.
So it's like leveling up in a video game almost. You get those credentials to unlock new stuff.
Exactly. The more skills, the more options you'll have down the line.
Okay, let's talk about actually getting hired, because that's a whole other thing these days. What with all the AI, those online applications, how do you stand out?
That's where RoleCatcher gets really interesting, especially this Beat the Automated Recruiter feature they've got. We'll dive into that right after the break.
So before the break, we were talking about beating the automated recruiter. That's RoleCatcher's thing, right? Sounds kind of, I don't know, futuristic and also like exactly what you need these days.
It's all about understanding how hiring's changing, yeah. So step one, RoleCatcher looks at those job descriptions, figures out what the AI is looking for, keywords, skills.
So you're not just guessing what they want, you actually know.
Exactly. Then, step two, you probably have different versions of your resume, right? RoleCatcher tells you which one's got the best shot for that specific job.
Oh, that's smart. Okay, so you've got the right resume. What then?
Final step, finding the gaps. RoleCatcher spots skills from the job ad that maybe you haven't highlighted enough.
So it's like, even if you haven't had the exact job title, it helps you connect the dots, show what you can do.
Right, like maybe they want project management, but you organized, say, a volunteer thing. That counts. You just got to make it clear.
That's awesome. Okay, so you get through all that, you still got to do the interview. What about those prep tools?
So they've got tons of interview questions, right?
Yeah.
But these are specific to the job we're talking about, not just general stuff.
Okay, so you're not stuck trying to rehearse for every possible question under the sun.
Nope. And get this, you can record yourself answering. The AI analyzes it, Your words, your tone, even body language.
Wait, hold on. Body language through a recording. How's that work?
It catches things you might not notice. Are you fidgeting? What's your posture like? Making eye contact? Even though it's a camera.
That's wild. I would get so much out of that. I get super fidgety in interviews.
It's like having a coach right there. Okay, so beyond getting hired, let's zoom out a bit.
Mm-hmm.
Transportation's changing rapidly, right? What does the future even look like for someone in this role?
Yeah, with self-driving cars and everything, it's got to be kind of uncertain.
It's actually a really exciting time. See, even with all the tech, you still need people who get it.
So you're saying even with self-driving cars, someone's got to keep them running.
Think about it. Those cars still need maintenance, repairs, software updates. You need people who understand the tech and the mechanics.
So it's more about working with the technology, not being replaced by it.
100%. That's why you got to keep learning in this field. What you need today might be different 5 years from now.
Makes sense. So how do you do that? Stay ahead of the curve like that?
Be proactive. Take on new stuff at work. Maybe get another certification. Go to conferences. Read up on the latest tech. There's always something.
It's like, gotta learn something new every day just to keep up with the robots, huh?
Huh. Kind of. But yeah, embracing that learning, that's huge.
And RoleCatcher helps with that too. It's not just for job hunting.
Right. They've got suggestions for career paths, info on certifications, even stuff tailored to your profile. That's pretty cool.
It's like having your own career advisor, but digital. That's amazing. So for someone who's now thinking, this is definitely for me, what's one piece of advice as they start out?
Talk to people already doing the job. Networking is huge. Ask questions, see if you can shadow someone for a day, really get a feel for it.
Love that. And that goes back to the soft skills we discussed. It's not just what you know, it's who you know, right?
For sure. Being able to talk to people, build those relationships, that's a big part of what makes a good scheduler.
So like you're not just a gearhead, you're a people person too.
And a problem solver. You could be doing a lot of that.
Okay, before we wrap up completely, let's circle back to those hidden skills. How do you actually show them, especially in an interview where you've got, what, 20 minutes to make an impression?
Good point, because it's kind of hard to put those on a resume, you know?
Yeah.
Like you can't just say, great at problem solving and call it a day.
Exactly. So how do you get that across without sounding like every other candidate?
Tell stories. Instead of saying, I'm a good communicator, tell them about a time you had to explain something super technical to someone who had no clue and you got through to them.
So bring in those real-life examples.
Yeah.
Show, don't just tell.
Exactly. And don't be afraid to use stuff from outside work, too. Volunteer work, whatever. It all shows those skills in action.
Right, because sometimes those everyday situations are the best test. Okay, that's great advice.
Just find those aha moments in your own experience. What are you proud of? What challenged you?
Love it. All right, that is some seriously good stuff. So we're back and still thinking about how to stand out as a road transport maintenance scheduler. Before, we were talking about those hidden skills and how to actually prove you've got them. It's all about telling the right story.
Right. Think about times you had to use those skills, not just say you have them, like maybe a crazy deadline. Everyone had to work together to get a bus back on track. Tell that story.
Way more memorable than just, I'm a team player. Now, something else that stuck with me. You mentioned maintenance becoming more about preventing problems, not just fixing them. Using data, right? That's got to be a huge change.
It is. It's like instead of waiting for something to break, you're looking at the data, you're spotting patterns. Let's say there's this one type of brake pad, wears out faster on hilly, or you notice that. You schedule maintenance before it becomes a problem. Maybe even get a better deal on those pads because you're buying in bulk.
That's thinking ahead. And saving money, too, which bosses love.
Exactly. And that kind of approach, using data, it's only going to get more important. Think sensors, algorithms, maybe even vehicles that tell you what's wrong.
So hold on. This career, you need the hands-on skills, you need the people skills, and you got to be kind of tech savvy. That's a lot.
It's a challenging field, for sure,
Uh-huh.
but rewarding. You're
Yeah.
keeping things moving for a lot of people,
Yeah.
and that's a big deal.
Big time. All right, so to wrap up our deep dive here, for anyone listening who's thinking, this sounds like me, this is what I want to do, what's the one thing they should keep in mind?
Don't underestimate those soft skills. Yeah, the technical stuff's important, but being able to communicate, being adaptable, that's
Yeah.
what really sets you apart.
Couldn't have said it better myself. And hey, that's where RoleCatcher comes in, right?
Yeah,
Helping you figure out what you need, how to show it off.
exactly. It's your secret weapon, whether you're just starting out or you've been at it a while.
Love it. All right, that is it for our deep dive into the world of the road transport maintenance scheduler. Hopefully, you've learned a ton and maybe even got a little inspired along the way.
It's a career with a lot more to it than meets the eye. Challenging, yeah, but also incredibly rewarding.
Couldn't agree more. Until next time, folks, keep those wheels turning.